Here with us, we're delighted to say, Brian, many congratulations. How sweet was this one?
It's just absolutely massively sweet, Claire. I suppose for the past few years we've been coming in as maybe champions and favourites to win the match, and this year it was very, very different. We were beaten by Tipperary last year. Tipperary had great champions and set massively high standards since then, and they were seriously warm favourites to win today. But in those situations, I suppose it really becomes very, very sweet to win it, because we had to really play at a seriously good level to win the game, and I think we did that from minute one really in the game.
Yeah, this was definitely a game you were in control of. Right from the start, you looked fresher, hungrier, sharper.
Yeah, we got into the game very, very quickly. There was a massive resolve within the whole panel to stamp a bit of authority on the game. We didn't do that last year. We were playing catch-up the whole time, and it's not a particularly good recipe for success. So we planned well for it, and there was a serious hunger and a serious determination there. And it was very, very evident the way I think that we played all over the field. We tackled very, very well. We chased, we hooked, we harried. But I think we also played, intelligent, clever hurling. When we had a ball, we used it very well, and we created a huge amount of scoring chances.
You most certainly won the tactical battle. You really kept Tip's key men quiet.
Yeah, like I said, we had to plan for it. I mean, if we had to come into this game just say, look, we'll go and we'll do the best we can, we wouldn't be standing here with a McCarthy Cup, that's for certain. So we had to just look at the whole thing, look at Tipperary and plan to beat them, because they had earned that kind of respect. We gave them that respect and we planned accordingly, and thanks be to God, it worked out very well.
Kilkenny don't like to be beaten, and given what happened here last year, maybe the league final defeat, people talking about your team being on the downturn in transition, obviously you now have another piece of silverware to prove them wrong.
Yeah, well, the league final was a different situation. We weren't at the same level as Dublin at that stage. Dublin were an outstanding team as far as I'm concerned, beat us comprehensively. Obviously last year's defeat to Tipperary would be fresh and would be, I suppose, call it raw if you like, and that is certainly a motivating factor. We would also, I suppose, have been written off by very, very many people, and again, that's just something we just went about ourselves and didn't particularly concern ourselves with. So we just had this day in our sights from, I suppose, to stay 12 months, and thanks be to God, it's a great feeling to have it here again.
And very briefly, Brian, 8 titles for you now as manager. Will you be back for more? Maybe 10 has a good ring to it, does it?
I'll certainly enjoy this one, Claire, and we'll take it from there. I have no idea what I'm doing, like I always say, but I'm certainly going to enjoy this.
Okay, well, congratulations and enjoy the celebrations. That's it from the sideline. Joe, back up to you.
Thanks, Claire. Well, I'm now joined in the studio by Limerick manager Donal O'Grady. Donal, 2 things Brian Cody said there. He said we planned for it, and also it had been in the sights for the past 12 months, and boy, did that plan come to fruition this afternoon.
Yeah, I think, Joe, from the very start you could see how hungry Kilkenny were. They went out and they took the game to Tipperary from the start, and Tip got caught in the headlights for the first 15-20 minutes. It was frenetic stuff for the first 8 or 9 minutes. It was end-to-end stuff. Ball wasn't being used properly, but bit by bit Kilkenny got their grip on the game, and they came in as outsiders. Tip were the favourites, and sometimes it's difficult for favourites to come in because you're short at a little bit of focus, but you could see Kilkenny were focused from the word go.
It's often a glib statement to make that the hungrier team won it, but from the outset today, some of those aged legs in the Kilkenny defence, the JJ Delaney's, the Tommy Walsh's and the rest, they wanted more. They imposed themselves physically upon the Tip forwards, prevented them getting the crucial goals.
Well, I never subscribed to that view, Joe, about the tired legs. I mean, the thing is, Kilkenny's defence started at number 15, and when your number 15 is really harrying and harassing the number 2 and the number 3 and the number 4, the ball that was coming out from the Tip backline, they weren't using it particularly well. They were just hitting the ball down, and that's a great defender's ball. And Tommy Walsh particularly, Brian Hogan, JJ Delaney, the full back line, they swept up the ball, and then they were able to put their forwards, give them the momentum going forward. And Tip were under pressure all day. They never got any respite, really. They never got close enough to Kilkenny to put the real pressure on. They were within 4 points with them at the end, but really it could have been a 7 or 8 point game.
Indeed. Let me just go through those list of names again. Brian Cody, Eddie Brennan, Henry Shefflin, Noel Hickey. 8 times they've picked up All-Ireland medal winners. Is there more in this Kilkenny side? Well,
looking at today, I mean, I think that Brian Cody has done excellent work with Kilkenny, and he has used, we'll say, Henry Shefflin has been underused in the league, and he could come along and rest these players during the league. He has shown, I think, last year, and he has shown the years before, he doesn't really consider league anymore, right? So he could rest these players. They come back in with a bit of freshness next April, and they'll be all go again, because the most important ingredient you need for hurling at a show today was hunger and enthusiasm, and I have no doubt that they'll be back looking for 9.
You look forward to it. Donal, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Well, after a troubling year for the senior hurlers and footballers, there was finally...
Yes, and these were the scenes at the City West Hotel in Dublin a short while ago as Kilkenny captain Brian Hogan proudly arrived at one of the most cherished prizes in Irish sport, the Liam McCarthy Cup. The players arriving with their gear, getting ready for the banquet. Huge crowd of Kilkenny supporters. Brian Cody being hugged and handshakes on the way. They're all hugging him. He won't make the dinner at all. But this is the Kilkenny team arriving. There's Henry Shefflin going through after another historic day, which saw Kilkenny pick up yet another All-Ireland title. Hello, and you're very welcome to the Sunday game on the night of the 124th All-Ireland Senior Hurling Final. We have a great packed programme.
The atmosphere is absolutely fantastic. Does it mean something for Kilkenny to win the All-Ireland? You bet it does. Up here on the podium, I'm joined by the two Brians, by Captain Brian Hogan, and of course by Manager Brian Cody. Gentlemen, you're very welcome indeed, and congratulations to you both. First of all, I was just saying there that it means so much to Kilkenny to win. We've already had a rousing version of the Sunday game opening music here, by the way. Des, everybody sang along, so thanks very much, folks. That was good. I gather there was a rousing version of the Rosa Moon coin after the match today in the dressing room as well, Brian.
Yeah, it's a great time when you get back to the dressing room straight away after the game with the cup. It's a special time for everybody, and you know, we certainly let fly today with the Rosa Moon coin and a few other things as well. So it's just it's a brilliant time when they're all just back together themselves in the place where is sacred, the dressing room, and it's a great time, yeah.
And it's a brilliant time, especially when after last year the disappointment of losing to Tipperary, to come back and regain the trophy.
Yeah, I mean, that's sport. Sport works like that. It's a huge motivating factor, facing the same opposition that beat us, and beat us comprehensively last year, to come back and get the opportunity to take them on again. They're All-Ireland champions, next in teams, a huge challenge for us, and I think we met it head on and face on, and
well, you did that, there's absolutely no doubt about that. I know, and I've heard you saying it during the week, that the motivation here was to win the All-Ireland. That was the most important thing to you. But look, let's face it, Brian, to win the All-Ireland beating Tip that beat you last year was important as well.
I mean, Tipperary are All-Ireland champions 12 months ago. They beat us, like I said, beat us well. And, you know, we were after a good run, and I suppose there was several doubts expressed about it, whether we would be able to get back again and try and get back to where we wanted to be last year. And probably our biggest challenge yet in lots of ways. And the players and everybody concerned with the team just took on the challenge in a wonderfully serious way, and preparation was very, very good. But it's a huge testament to the players and the panel. I think it was just not just the 15 players on the field. Whatever subs came on, whatever players didn't finish the game, emptied themselves completely and contributed massively to the win as well. It's a huge panel effort, a huge effort of everybody concerned, and it's massively rewarding when that happens.
It is, and a reward as well for you, Brian Hogan, as captain of the team. On a personal level, you must have really, really appreciated today.
Yeah, I don't know, it's unbelievable, you know, it's I suppose a bit surreal. Probably not something I'll fully appreciate maybe till maybe a couple of weeks, if not a couple of years down the line. But you know, just to be able to, I suppose, play with the guys here is fantastic in its own right. You know, you're talking about such an unbelievable group of players, like some of the greatest hurlers of all time, and it's just a privilege to be able to talk out with them.
We know the amount of medals that there are, a lot of the players, like obviously on the team. But to walk up the steps of the Hogan stand today as captain, talk to me about that.
Yeah, to be honest, I was happy out on the field with the players. Yeah. Just, you know, jumping on top of each other, I suppose, and celebrating the victory. But obviously, it's part of the job. I had to go up and accept the cup on their behalf. You know, yeah, it's just fantastic. I mean, it's an honour. You know, it's an honour to wear the jersey, and it's an even bigger honour to captain the lads. I suppose big thanks to the club for that. But
sure, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I suppose it's something, you know, live long in the memory.
And a final word to Brian Cody. I know, Brian, it sometimes irritates managers if you've lost a match and things haven't gone well and somebody says to you, are you going to call it a day? So can I turn this around the other way? Does this victory today herald the next decade of Brian Cody as the Kilkenny manager?
I just, you know, you're talking about the Kilkenny manager, but I mean, we really have a management team, to be fair about it, and I think the input of Michael Dempsey and Martin Fogarty must be remembered up here. So maybe Maybe you should be asking the two lads, are they going to stick it for another decade or not? So I don't really know.
I tell you what, Brian, I'd say if you will, they will. How about that? Brian Cody and Brian Hogan, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, gentlemen. Well done again to you. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Michael, and congratulations to the lads. OK, then let's hear what did today mean to you?
Oh, today is massive, I suppose, in Kilkenny terms. There's no greater rivalry in hurling than Tip Kilkenny, and Kilkenny hurt a lot last year. I mean, they had a lot going, but you know, they set out to set the record straight, and they did it emphatically today. Very, very proud performance, very great workmanship, true craft and skill throughout the whole game. And I think most people, if they're fair, would say there was only one team in it all day.
Michael, you felt Tip were forced into making tactical changes early on, and that you thought that might have put them on the back foot a bit.
Well, I just thought there was a few things. You know, it's easy in hindsight. I fancy Tip. You know, I didn't think they'd done anything wrong to maybe lose their favouritism going into the final, and the pressure was on Kilkenny to come back. But I thought Brendan Maher should have been picked from the start. He was young hurler of the year last year. Big match temperament, you know, played 3 years minor, 4 years under 21, and I don't think you can afford to leave a player like that on the sideline. And John O'Keefe was targeted by Kilkenny. Henry Shefflin was putting him. They played every ball down to Henry Shefflin in the first 20 minutes. Every ball Tommy Walsh got, he hit it over to Henry Shefflin. They worked the ball through him, and I felt up front Kilkenny had a plan early on. It was to man-mark everybody. Now, you know, it was unbelievable the way they went about it. Like, Tommy Walsh picked up Lara Corbett from the throw-in, but he had no intention of marking him, so it was just to get inside his head, and then Jackie Turrell went on him. But I felt that, you know, maybe if they put Lara Corbett centre-forward for a while, you know, would Jackie Turrell go on or would Brian Hogan have to go on? I didn't think that Tipperary asked the questions. I thought they floated around the place, and yet they managed to stay in the game somehow for a long, long time. But Kilkenny, to me, you know, were the superior team on the day and deserved the win.
Anthony, how good was the Kilkenny performance compared to other All-Ireland winning performances?
Yeah, I'd say the scoreline doesn't really do them justice. They dominated in so many positions, and it was hard to pick how many Tip players won their positions. Maybe very few, one or two really. They were dominant all over, and I'd say they'd be wondering maybe when they watch the video why they didn't win it by more, but they won't mind at all. It was their mission all year, I think, was from this time last year was to get back there. And I suppose most people had them lined up as the two finalists, and they just wanted this so badly. So interesting, we were walking out of the ground, myself and Michael, afterwards, and a lady in her 60s stopped us up and said hello to us, and she said, I think this is the sweetest one of all, you know.
There was a good few of them reminded me that I went for Tip last night and up for the match as well, so we'll get plenty of steak.
She's probably at home now giving out about you putting an age on her. Let's go to our guest.
Say I was good to her.
Len Gaynor, the Tipperary reaction. They didn't seem to get going today. Is that fair?
Well, our reaction, I suppose, we're very disappointed to lose, and I thought the team didn't play as well as they can play, and I thought that before the throw-in even, they looked a bit nervous and tense to me. I was a little bit worried myself, and that showed in their play. I thought, especially in defence early on, when they fumbled balls and failed to clear balls and failed to find their man with the ball with hand passes and that. You know, it's not the Tipperary team that we know, it's not the players that we know. So that type of tension can come into it, and it certainly came in and affected Tipperary today. But they were in that game for a long time, and they were in it right up to the end there. There was only 3 points in it with 5 or 6 minutes to go, and, you know, that's to their credit. Yeah. Without playing well, they still held on and still gave a great account of themselves. But disappointment overall, they didn't play well, but in fairness, that's due to how good Kilkenny were, and they did dominate the game, and they did deserve to win, and we've no doubt about that.
Shawnee McMahon of Clare, would you go along with that it was Kilkenny stopped Tip playing rather than Tip not performing?
Well, I think there was a bit of both in it. I think certainly Tip or Kilkenny, when it came to, you know, the man for man, the Kilkenny boys got the better of them. You know, if you look at, we'll say, Jackie Turrell and Lara Corbett, Noel Hickey and Owen Kelly. So I think there was certainly a combination of both. I certainly don't think Tip would be happy with their performance. I'd say that's what they'll be most disappointed with today, rather than losing it, was that they just didn't play well, and if they had, would they have won it? But I think the credit has to go to Kilkenny for the way they played.
Let's ask Tom Dempsey, do Wexford men always rejoice when Kilkenny pick up another All-Ireland, Tom?
They're dancing at the crossroads tonight, Des. Again, no, I mean, we have to accept that Kilkenny are great hurling men, Des, and we wouldn't no way begrudge them their win today. Yeah. I thought that two of the major elements was the intensity of the forward tackling today. It was incredible from Kilkenny, and also